Iran's foreign minister speaking out today, and he is sending a crystal clear message to President Trump and to those who are urging him to take military action against Iran.
What would be the consequence of an American or a Saudi military strike on Iran now?
An all-out war.
Here is how General Jack Keane and former Defense Secretary Leon Panetta see the situation playing out in the wake of last weekend's attacks on the Saudi oil fields.
If we don't act, or if we don't act strong enough, it's guaranteed that Iran will continue.
I think it is going to demand some kind of response.
Presidential candidate Tulsi Gabbard, here in moments, thinks that that advice would be a grave mistake. And she criticizes the president for this tweet, which said that the U.S. is, quote, locked and loaded, and that we are waiting to hear from the Saudi kingdom as to who they believe was the cause of this attack and under what terms we would proceed. That was from the other day. So then after that, Secretary Pompeo made it clear that the United States believes that it was Iranian weapons that were used. There's a picture of them on the New York Post today, and that the attack came from the north, not from the south, where the Houthi rebels in Yemen originally claimed responsibility. Gabbard did not mince words. She has fired back at the president on Twitter this way.
For you to think that you can pimp out our proud servicemen and women to the Prince of Saudi Arabia is disgraceful. Your words and actions are a betrayal of my brothers and sisters in uniform, the American people, and our Constitution. My fellow service members and I, we are not your prostitutes. You are not our pimp.
The Congresswoman from Hawaii joins me now. Those are obviously very strong words directed at the president, the commander-in-chief. Congresswoman Gabbard, do you stand by those?
Absolutely, I do. You know, Trump's intent was made very clear with that tweet. As a soldier, I took an oath, as well as a member of Congress. But as a soldier, I took an oath to support and defend our Constitution, to protect and defend the American people. Not the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, not any other foreign power. Now, if for some reason that's not what Trump meant, then he should come out and say that's not what I meant and clarify it, but he hasn't done that. I think
it does seem like a rather literal interpretation, and I don't know, so perhaps that is what he meant. But let's listen to what the Pentagon said today, because I think that this might shed some light on sort of where this is coming from. Watch this.
We're going to allow the Saudis to make the declarations on where they believe the attacks came from and the ultimate responsibility.
I mean, when I read it, that was more the take that I had on it, that this is an ally, and I know that you don't agree that this is a good ally, but sometimes not all allies are perfect. It's obviously a very complicated relationship, but that because the attack was on them, there would be discussions about where it came from, and then discussions about how we would respond. Not that we would take orders from Saudi Arabia about how we would respond.
Well, a couple of points here. First of all, I think Trump's tweet was very clear. And if he didn't mean what he said, then he should clarify and actually say what he means. As President of the United States, you've got to be very careful about the words that you're using, because they carry a lot of impact. Secondly, this is about something bigger than just a complex relationship with Saudi Arabia or having an ally who is not perfect. We're talking about a country that is continuing to directly and indirectly support al-Qaeda. Now, we just observed the 18th anniversary of the day that al-Qaeda attacked us on 9/11, the day that evil visited our country, killing thousands of Americans. So I don't take lightly people who say, well, Saudi Arabia, yeah, they're not that great, but, we need them. Look, Saudi Arabia is continuing to support our enemy, al-Qaeda, in places like Yemen and Syria. What to speak of what they're doing every year, spending billions of dollars to propagate this extreme Wahhabi ideology that's fueling terrorist groups like ISIS and al-Qaeda.
I think there are a lot of people who agree with you, and there are a lot of people who probably disagree with you, but also, take your points to heart in terms of that explanation. But there are also people who, look back at the things that you have said in the past and sort of see that there are kind of two camps in the Middle East, that you have Iran and Syria with the backing of Russia, and then you have the United States and Israel and the Saudi Arabia and the UAE So they see you more in the camp that is on the side of Iran and Syria, and they question that, Congresswoman Gabbard. What do you say to them?
Yeah, they're wrong. They're wrong. I'm not in any of those different camps. I am in one camp and one camp alone. It's the camp of the United States of America and the American people. And I took an oath and I promised to be willing to put my life on the line to serve and protect our country, to protect the people of our country. So that is my sole focus. It has been and will continue to be.
And we admire that, and we thank you for your service. Absolutely. So I guess the next question is, what would you do? I mean, we've had enormous provocation from Iran. They have put explosives on tankers. They've shot down a drone that was $130 million by some report, American drone. They've taken sailors into custody. So what do you recommend?
Well, I think we've got to look at this situation for what it is. This provocation, as you put it, did not just come from out of nowhere. It is a retaliation, and it's a retaliation against the extreme sanctions that are on Iran that's basically making it impossible for them to sell their oil around the world. So we've just got to be clear-eyed about what's really happening and how, if we continue down this course, this path we are on, I think you heard former Secretary Pineda allude to this, that we will see a cycle of retaliation, tit for tat, just continuing to go forward and escalate that can only lead to
so lift the sanctions?
Inferno.
I'm almost out of time, but what would you do was the question.
As president right now, what I would do is I would re-enter the Iran nuclear deal to prevent Iran from continuing to move forward and building a nuclear weapon that puts us and the world further at risk. And number two, end those crippling sanctions.
Okay, I mean, that's exactly what they want.
Every day that we don't do this, every day we continue down this failed strategy, Iran gets closer and closer to a nuclear weapon. That's a fact.
Congresswoman Gabbard, thank you very much. Always good to talk to you.
Thank you.